Hey everyone, welcome to Let's Write Scripts. I'm Mike Craddy, the head of writing at Arc Studio, the best screenwriting app in the world. You can check out Arc Studio. There is a link in the description below if you wanted to use it to write your scripts, which is what I'm going to be using to write my scripts. Today, we are going to be doing 3 writing sprints where you can work on your script, and we'll be chatting about screenwriting in the breaks between the sprints, and I'll be answering questions about screenwriting. It's going to be fun. We're going to write. We're going to talk about screenwriting. We're just going to have a great time. Before we get into the chat, I want to know, where are you in the world? Where are you watching from? What are you writing today? I want to know, what's your current writing project? Are you writing a pilot, writing a feature, short film, some other creative thing? Maybe you're working on a novel and you snuck into Let's Write Scripts to work on your novel, which is okay. So where are you? What are you writing today? And then we always have like a writerly kind of discussion question to get us going, to get our juices flowing. And today I want to know what you think you should accomplish in your script's first 10 pages. And I'll share a few thoughts about that in a moment. So yeah, where are you? What are you writing today? And what should you accomplish in your script's first 10 pages? If you're feeling it, please like this video. You can hit subscribe if you want to. That's an option for you. And you can turn notifications on. You have agency. You are the protagonist in your own life. And if you'd like to do these things, I encourage them, but they're your own choice. So, but whatever, or just like it. Okay, and then during the second break, of course, I'm going to show the sandwich of the week. If you're wondering what the sandwich of the week is, it's generally just the best sandwich that I made in the last week. Sometimes it's an okay sandwich, and sometimes it is like a fantastic sandwich. And today, I had such a great sandwich. I still think about this sandwich. It was a couple days ago that I ate it. It was so good. And I'm going to be sharing that during the second break. We have to build to that. That's like the climax. You can't get there too soon. You got to build the tension. Sandwich of the week is coming later. So to answer these questions myself, I'm in Los Angeles, California. Kind of a rainy day today. Not too much rain, but it's like a little rain today. I'm working on a feature rewrite. This one's been tough. I mean, I'm going to be honest. This one's been tough. It's just like kind of a passion project of mine that it's just been a roller coaster. But it's going well right now. I've hit a new groove, so I'm feeling good. I'm pushing forward on it. That's what I'm working on today. And then, so for this question, what should you accomplish in your script's first 10 pages? I want to hear your thoughts in the chat. I'm working on a blog post for this. It'll be on the Arc Studio blog this week or next week. But there's a couple things I want to hit on. Some of these things you probably know. But there's this idea that I've been thinking of about the opening 10 pages of your script, that it's like an invitation or a promise to your reader, basically, right? Where if you think about the first 10 pages of your script as an invitation, and then to a party that is the rest of your script. So the first 10 pages are the invitation to the party, and then the rest of the script is the party, right? And so you want to make that invitation enticing. You want to let people know, like, hey, there's going to be snacks there. There's going to be drinks. There's going to be live music or whatever it is. I'm pushing this metaphor a little too far. But basically the idea is that whatever the fun, good stuff at the party of your script, you want that to be in the invitation. Basically, what does that mean? If you're going to have horror goodness or great laughs or romance or drama or any of these kind of things in your script, you want that to be in the invitation. You can also think of this as a promise, right? So an invitation or a promise, kind of the same thing, just two different ways of looking at it. The first 10 pages of your script are a promise as to what the reader will get if they stick around for the whole thing. Basically saying like, hey, here's the script. I know you're busy. I want you to read it. But in the first 10 pages, I'm going to show you, I'm going to make a promise to you that if you stick around, you're going to get X, Y, Z. And again, it's going to be laughs. It's going to be drama. It's going to be conflict. It's going to be whatever it is, like whatever your script is. So that's something to think about. The promise or invitation of your script. A couple other things. Just don't do too much world building. People call this info dumping nowadays. I think that's like the modern term. You don't need too much of that. Just like enough so people understand what your characters are going through. It's kind of my rule of thumb. You can always learn stuff as we go along the way. It's more important to just understand the characters, what they're going through. And then introducing your protagonist, just a couple thoughts on that. One, show us what their problem is. Like, what's the deal? What's their deal? What's their problem? Because oftentimes, like, your script is going to be about your protagonist's problem, something in their life or in themselves that like they're living with, but it's not great. What is that thing? Because you're going to disrupt it. maybe they're going to go on an arc changing away from this in some way. But like, what's their deal? What's their problem? And also just like, let us know who they are really quickly. And one way you can do that is by having them solving a problem or dealing with a conflict or an obstacle or something in the first scene, and have them deal with it in a way that reveals who they are. If their whole thing is that they're too impatient, then you just show them being impatient. If that they're the most brilliant person in the room, but they are blind to social cues, then you show them solving a problem in that way. You know what I'm saying? So, but have them in action, have them demonstrating it, which I find is often more compelling than just like having someone give a speech about them or like describing them. And then one last thought I'll say is that oftentimes with opening, people say like, go big, like exciting, explosions, shootout, whatever it is, go crazy. You can go crazy. I'm not saying don't go crazy if you want, but that kind of shock and awe wears off. Whereas forming an emotional attachment, that sticks around. So if you can go crazy, but also like actually have us form an emotional attachment to this character, like that's great. Like that's a winning combination. Yeah. All right. I'm going to check in with the chat. So many people here. Nisi ready to dive in. Annie and from Toronto, finalizing a first draft. Maria in Los Angeles, started first draft TV pilot. Never written anything like this before. Oh, good luck. I did make a little series of YouTube videos on writing TV pilots. If you want to check it out, it's on the Arc Studio YouTube channel. There's like 6 videos in there, so you can check that out. Dystopia is here. Glad you're here. Adonis Media, editing my pilot, now working on the second pilot. Victoria in comedy. Cool. Nisi is working on a romantic thriller. First 10 pages need a strong hook, opening setup that introduces the initial world and either leans toward an exciting incident or habit. Yeah, so the inciting incident, earlier it tends to be better. It doesn't have to be in the first 10 pages. It can be. It's also like 10 pages is a little arbitrary in some ways. Like it's just like, why not the first 9 pages? Why not the first 8 pages? It's a nice round number. And it's a good amount where oftentimes readers will give it 10 pages because it's like small enough that it's a reasonable amount to read a script, even if you don't really like the script, but it's like big enough where at least you're giving a sense. Like if you read a first page or 2, you're not going to get much, but like 10 pages. So the inciting incident, might not be in there. Rosie, Sandwiches Act 3. Yeah, it's coming later. Michelle in LA working on a short. Fantastic. Jack in LA working on first full feature script. Hook the reader, foreshadow the events to come. Yeah, I feel like the foreshadowing, that's another way of saying this promise, this invitation of what's going to come down. Juno, welcome back from Massachusetts. Amen to the musings on agency and free will today. I do like to muse here. Barbara, welcome back. Working on your feature. Dr. Steve, welcome back. Going to implement some of your suggestions from Mondays. So Steve is talking about 5-page Mondays where we have in the Arc Studio community forum, where on Mondays you can post 5 pages of your script. It's like every Monday. And if you want to get to the community forum in Arc Studio, on the desk, there's a thing that says community on the left side. You click it and that takes you to the community forum. And I gave Steve some notes on something. So awesome. Good luck with those. I hope they were helpful. Jeff, checking from New York City last week, accomplished something not from the first pages, but from bucket list. I was an extra to Steven Spielberg. Amazing. Oh, that's fantastic. Share any details if you want about that. Teji, hey, welcome back from San Jose. Also rainy and windy. I guess the West Coast is working with that. Dystopia sign up with Arc Studio. Fantastic. Hope you enjoy it. I think it's a great screenwriting software. It's what I use. Obviously, they sponsor this and everything. I work for them, but it is really great. Charles in Denver, welcome back. And Jeff saying he's super nice and it was a total thrill. Steven Spielberg. There you go. Neil also got pages on Neil also, I was like reading his comment in my head and responding to it at the exact same time, and the words got jumbled. Gave him feedback on his 5 pages on Mondays also. Great. Glad that was helpful, hopefully. All right. Discussion question. I've been told to establish the character flaw ASAP so the reader has an expectation of where the character is going. Yeah, I mean, I feel like that is kind of part of what I was saying about just like getting to this character like right away. Like, what's their deal? What's their problem? What's their flaw? Oftentimes there's different ways of talking about this thing. Like terminology in screenwriting is never consistent. Like sometimes people think about the flaw. Other times that's not like really something, people approach it in different ways. But anyways, like a flaw is another way to think about it. Like what is their, the thing that they either will overcome or won't overcome right throughout the journey there. So, Sadelden, or Sodelden. Sodelden? Sadelden. Let me know. How close did I get? And if you have any pronunciation tips, let me know. Sodelden. I'm still on page 5, but I'm afraid to bring all the characters in the movie in the first 10 pages and then distribute them according to the sequence of the story. You don't have to meet all your characters in the first 10 pages. I will say that. Like, don't try to. Characters should be introduced to the movie when the story requires their presence. It's definitely not necessary that they all appear in the first 10 pages. So don't feel like you have to like smush them all in there, because it's like that's valuable real estate. It's okay to meet people along the way. There are a lot of great characters in many movies and pilots and stuff that you meet a little later on, and that's okay. Jeff, more info on his Steven Spielberg thing. It's his UFO movie with Emily Blunt coming out next summer. Would definitely recommend writers do X Works to see the onset process. The onset process is great. Yeah, I mean, it's like harder and harder for writers to be on set, like even in TV, just because like production's often divorced. Like classically, like when I started out as a PA on sitcoms, you know, the writer's room was in the building next to the studio, and like you just walk down and go there. But like nowadays, oftentimes like for dramas in particular, the writer room ends before the shooting even starts, and the shooting is in like another state or country. And there's maybe a writer on set or the showrunner or the episode writer or something. But that's kind of like one of the ongoing things the WJ is trying to deal with, is like getting more writers on set, because that's sort of how you learn producing skills and like how to develop and become a showrunner. So yeah, being on set is really cool. I mean, it's also like, it can be boring at times. There's a lot of standing around. Wear good shoes and wear layers are a piece of advice I can give for that. All right. Dexter Films, talking about, what would you tell someone that wants to sell his first pilot or feature? How should they start? By writing a great script, I think would be the first thing that you have to start with. And then, yeah, I mean, everything else is sort of secondary to that, which I get is just like kind of a trite answer, but like, there's not an easy answer to that. Like, that's what everyone's trying to do, right? Like if there was just a simple answer, like more people would do it here. Hey, Anthea, haven't seen you in a minute. I'm super busy working on it for your short doc premiere. Oh, fantastic. Oh, that's awesome. All right. I think that's enough talking for now. We should get into the first writing sprint. So, like I said, we're going to do 3 writing sprints. If this is your first time here, we do a 15-minute writing sprint, then we take a little break and chat about screenwriting. Then we're going to do a 25-minute writing sprint, take another break, and then we'll do one final sprint, 20 to 25 minutes, usually, kind of depending on how late we're running, based on like how many questions you guys ask and how much I've been talking. So yeah, we'll see what the third sprint ends up being. But the first sprint is the 15-minute sprint. It's like the chill warm-up sprint. No, not too much pressure. Oftentimes reading back over kind of what you were doing before, if you haven't seen your script in a minute, or at least not yet today. And then just kind of try and find a little bit of a creative groove. And then we'll take a little break, and then we'll jump into the next writing sprint, the 25-minute writing sprint, which is like the meat and potatoes. Like that's the one that's like where the rubber hits the road. I need to find it with like better analogies for the second writing sprint. I feel like I say meat and potatoes every week, and like I don't think that actually makes sense. All right, but anyways, enough from me. I'm gonna play some music and put 15 minutes up on the clock and up on the screen, and yeah, 15-minute countdown up on the screen. I'm gonna slow my voice down because like the 15-minute writing sprint is generally pretty chill. But I feel like we're here to write. Like, let's do it, right? All right, let's get into it. 15 minutes on the clock. Here we go. This writing sprint. The music's so chill. It's like the spa writing sprint. All right, everybody, that was the first writing sprint, the 15-minute writing sprint, the warm-up. Welcome to everyone who joined during that writing sprint. This is Let's Write Script, brought to you by Arc Studio. We're doing 3 writing sprints where we're working on our scripts, and we're taking breaks in between like this and talking about screenwriting. So if you have any questions, get in the chat, let me know. Also, let me know how'd that sprint go for you. Are the muses with us today? Are they blessing you with their presence? Are you struggling? Is there anything in particular that you're struggling with? Any questions about your writing, about screenwriting, story structure, your characters, or anything like that? Anything you want to get into? We can chat about it a little bit. So get into the chat and let me know. There was, so I was talking about like a better metaphor for our second writing sprint, which was like the meat and potatoes writing sprint, which I hate, and Rosie sweetly offered the tofu and sweet potatoes alternate of the second writing sprint, which is fantastic. So glad for that. Adonis Media had a question here. I heard the best way to get your foot in the door is by contacting assistants, coordinators, and the like for production companies. Try to build a rapport. Could you elaborate on that process? Sure. Yeah, I mean, I try not to talk about too much about networking because you kind of go down a rabbit hole with that, and mostly like to talk about craft. But I can chat a little bit about that really quick. So one thing that you may be kind of referring to here is basically like networking. The instinct with networking is to like network vertically, right? Like there are powerful people out there, the ones who can actually hire you, whatever, and you're like, oh, I want to network with them because they're the ones who can hire me. But those people, 1, are really busy. 2, they already kind of have their people, right? They've already built their relationships over time. And 3, they don't really want to talk to you. So the better way to network is horizontally. Basically, people who are kind of also at the beginning with you that you can grow together because they are still building their networks. And you kind of like, go through the battles together and you sort of grow and rise together. It's a long-term view of networking, which is like slightly less satisfying because like obviously you always want something to like happen like right now. But I would say that focus on the long-term aspect of it. So the trick is though, is you have to like meet people. And so you have to put yourself in opportunities to build relationships. So you're talking about like contacting assistants, coordinators, and the like. Yeah, I mean, sometimes there are people who are looking out, for material, and so you can contact them and get them to read them. But oftentimes, you're just like, for me, it just was like building relationships. I moved to LA right after college to pursue this, and so it's hard sometimes for me to give networking advice to people, around the world who aren't here, because like I don't want to like, I don't know, lie or whatever, or just like tell you things that are BS or anything like that. But in terms of like your specific question, I will say, yeah, I would go back to what I'm saying, that the reason why you should sort of network with those kind of people is that they're the ones who are building relationships. Like some of my best sort of connections in the industry now are people that I was an assistant with. Because again, yeah, we kind of went through it together. And those people are more receptive generally than the powerful people. So yeah, I will say that. Anyways, other people, let me know how the sprint was going. Let me know any questions you have right there. Rosie had a good warm-up sprint. Glad. Barbara feeling a little eclipsy today. Had a breakthrough aha moment at the end of the sprint. Ooh, well, hopefully you can like bottle that and get that into the next sprint here. Gina, what do you think about going to school for screenwriting? Sometimes I'm tempted to make a big life pivot. That is a hard question, and that is not one I can answer for you because film school is expensive, and I cannot say whether it's worth it for you. I know people I have a lot of friends who've gone to film school, and for some people, they're doing great, and they were able to pay off those loans, and other people still have that debt and are struggling with it. I'm not a life coach or a financial advisor, so I can't tell you like if it's a good decision for you to go to film school. I will say it can be great though to have the time to dedicate in your craft, like to network, right? Like the alumni network can be very valuable. The skills you have, the time to your craft. But again, it's kind of up to you as to like whether financially that makes sense for you. And it's like not an easy decision. I will say that it's not an easy decision. And Thea said, here she has an insight here. She attended the screenwriting program in LA, so those connections are still important, actually crucial to me. Yeah, and I think that's probably one of the best, most important things actually about film school is the connections you make there. Like you can get good education, but like you can probably replicate a lot of that through reading and like videos and reading scripts and books and stuff like that. It's the access to people. It's the access to like a committed cadre of people who are going or here to do it, right? And are going to get those jobs at other places and get internships and make connections. So it's like as a networking vehicle, it can be very, very helpful. Yeah. Even outside of the financial question mostly. The problem is you can't really separate the two, right? Because it's like, it's very expensive. It's very expensive. So I don't want to like say like, you should definitely do this. And then you like go, $100,000 into debt and you're like, Micah, why'd you tell me to do this? I mean, but it sucks. I wish everyone could just go to film school for free and just like dedicate, years of your life to your creative craft. I mean, that's the dream. Andy having a good sprint, done 5 pages today, going to hit 10 by the end. Fantastic. Nisi, I did not write, but that thing's open, ready to go. Got distracted. Yeah, that's the 15-minute writing. I actually got sidetracked right at the start, so it kind of was a little slow getting into this sprint as well. So I'm hoping for the next one. Yeah. There's also screenwriting courses you can join that provide the same things for much less. Yeah, I mean, there are things online. There's like, UCLA Extension and stuff. There are other courses and stuff where you can learn some of that stuff. What you lack in those is the networking aspect. I will say though that like as far as the degree itself, no one cares about that. Like when you are trying to get a writing job, you are not submitting your resume. You're submitting scripts, like things you've written. That's your resume, is your writing. So I will say that it's the networking kind of mostly that I think is the value of film ratings, of film school. Yeah. All right, so let's do some more writing. I feel like we've done some you're welcome. Had a good sprint. Looking over script, haven't touched in months. Fantastic. Glad into it. All right. So let's get back into this. Too much networky talk for Let's Write Scripts. Let's do more script talk. More script talk. So yeah. And I love Anthea's suggestions here. Yes. Go screenwriting courses. You can network there too. One person leads to another. I'll say one other thing on networking. Like it's really only effective if you're actually building genuine relationships with people. People can smell if you're trying to use them. Like you just can, it's like not even smell, you just feel it if someone's trying to use you and they'll just kind of cut you off. So like it's about finding genuine people who you think are smart and kind and driven and like just like building and have common interests, all that kind of stuff. It's like building about real relationships with people, because that's the kind of stuff. Those are the kind of people who are actually going to like pass a script on like for you because they like believe in you and they believe in your work. So I will, and Juno's not going to hold me responsible for any bad financial decisions. Yeah, I'll come up with another show that's more like a life coaching financial advice show, and that'll be horrible. I'm so bad with that kind of stuff. All right, 25-minute writing sprint. We're going to do some more writing here. Again, this is the sweet potatoes and tofu writing sprint, as Rosie suggested. We're warmed up. Maybe we're a little distracted in that first writing sprint. There's a lot of stuff going on in the world. There's a lot of stuff going on in your lives. But for this one, let's just like really try to lock in and give yourself the gift of this time, because that's why you're here and you don't want to waste it. So 25 minutes on the clock, play some more music, and then we're going to check back in on the other side. I'll answer some more questions if you have any. We'll show the sandwich of the week. And it's going to be great. It's going to be great. Here we go. 25 minutes. Let's do it. That is the end of the 25-minute writing sprint. How'd it go, everyone? How was that one? Two down, one to go. Did the muses show up? Did they abandon you? What are you dealing with today? What are your questions? What are you struggling with? What are you succeeding with? Forget struggles. What are you succeeding with? How are you crushing it? Maybe I'll just become like a motivational speaker, just one of those people who talks about like crushing your goals. I don't think I can do that. I don't think I have it in me, but I would love to hear how your writing's going, what issues you're dealing with, any questions you have. Welcome to a couple people who showed up there. Hit or miss Hallmark movie reviews, showing up for the first time, working on a rewrite of a horror script. Awesome. Congrats. Hope it's going well. Yes, I think Paula showed up also late. Glad to see you here. Couple questions here. Juno's wondering, okay, I'm chat today. What is the convention for scene headings when a scene moves from one part of a building to another in the same scene? Do you mention the staircase too? Great question. And there are different ways of doing this. Basically, it just comes down to whether or not you want to see it or not. So here, I have this script here, which hopefully, let me get Juno, you can put your question down here. So basically there's different ways of doing this, right? So you can be like interior office, building, lobby, day, things happen. You have your scene here, characters, dialogue. And then if you show the staircase, basically that's only if you want to show the staircase, right? So there are different ways of doing a scene. Sometimes there's like what's called a walk and talk, which is like Aaron Sorkin is very famous for this, like The West Wing, the TV show, had a lot of this, where basically like there'd be a character, Joe and Susan talk, right? Joe, Jose, sure. Things, Susan, fun quip. I can't type on command, right? And then, so they're talking, they're walking, talking, and then, they walk up the staircase and you do the dialogue of them there. So it's basically like, this is a lot just to say, only if you want to actually see them in there. You can go straight from like the lobby to wherever, like bullpen or whatever it is. You can include as much of the connective tissue there. The audience isn't going to get confused if we see someone like in a lobby and then suddenly they're in their office. Like they can put two and two together. That's how they got there. I hope that answers. Kind of another formatting question. Jack, is there... Okay, if there's dialogue in a new location, I would put a new scene heading so the reader can picture the new spot and just have it be continuous. So I think what you're asking about here is someone talking and then kind of talking about another location, right? But they're not moving. So you could do something like this, right? So like interior kitchen night, Jack talks about his day at work. This happened. I would do a cut to. You don't have to. This is optional. But then do interior office building day. Jack continues talking as we see his day at work, right? And then you basically would describe whatever happens there, he gets his tie caught in the shredder. And then basically what the point is you just do VO. This is all just to say that if he's in this location, but we're seeing this location, you just do voiceover because we're not seeing him talk in this scene. It's a voiceover. Right? Does that make sense? So if someone's in one location, but then the scene is showing something else, it'd be voiceover. And as for whether this would be continuous or day, it's basically whatever this scene is. So if like, for instance, if it's nighttime and he's talking about like what his day was like, this would be day because that scene that we're seeing is day, if that makes sense. You'd only use continuous if someone's physically moving from one space to the next space. So like if you're moving from the kitchen to the living room, that would be like a continuous. If it's a different time of day or like somewhere else, you just use the correct time of day. So, and then another kind of format question is what beat outline do you like to use? So I think you're getting used to Arc Studio. And if you go to like beats, there are these templates that you can start out with here, like 5-Act TV, John Truby's 22-step Sid Fields paradigm, right? And if you click on one, it'll like give you a template to start working with. I'll be honest, I personally do not use them, any of them, really. That's not how I think about screenwriting. Lots of people do, and it's fine if you do. It's about kind of finding the approach that makes sense to you. I would say whatever one you use, do not feel like it's strict that you have to follow that thing. these kind of templates, these approaches are created kind of after the fact, looking at scripts. I think they are sometimes less helpful in the actual creation of things. But if you're trying to get a sense of structure and how to like structure your story, it can be helpful to use as a reference. I don't have a preference. Maybe other people here have one that they can chime in that they've used. Personally, that's just not how I think about story. I think about story more about my characters, what they want, what they're going through. I think about a midpoint, something that's going to change that lead to a climax. And I kind of just build my story more organically like that. But that's just kind of my my personal approach here. All right, another good one for Rosie, not for Barbara. Just hope you're struggling a little bit. Jack, feeling pretty good. I got a rainy day. The moody vibes are helping. You know what? Rainy days are my favorite to write. There's just something about it. Like it just helps shut off the rest of the world, right? Like you're cocooned a little bit. I love writing on a rainy day. Nisi killing it right now. Very dynamic scene. Lots of making my characters and comfortable in this central moment. Evil laugh. All right, Nisi. June, I should look at a Sorkin script, for example. That's exactly what I mean. Yeah, a walk and talk. You're going to find any like West Wing episode basically will have a walk and talk. But again, it's just whatever you want to choose to show here. All right, Denise, so many distractions today. Gotta go. See you next week. It's not always going to be there. How to do spell check in Arc Studio. So if you're using the desktop app, let me just show you this again. It's in the menu up here, spell check. If you're using the browser, though, that uses your browser's spell checker. Yeah, but if you're using like the actual app itself that you've downloaded, it's in settings and spell check is there here. All right, so I promised that one announcement first, actually, here. If you okay, well, first off to say we'll be back next week. Let's Write Scripts comes back same time next same place next week, same time, same place. I'm babbling now. Next Wednesday at 1 p.m. we're doing Let's Write Script again, and you can RSVP at a link in the description. Also, if you write books, you can join on Mondays for our other show that I host for Butterdocs, our other app for novel writing, called Let's Write Books. And on Monday, we're focusing on writing your first chapter. And there's a link to RSVP to that in the description as well. So Let's Write Scripts on Wednesdays. Let's Write Books on Mondays. And all right, it's also time for, I'll do one more question here. Maria has a question. Trying to figure out how much to tell through dialogue and how much to show through images. I feel like the dialogue gets corny when it has to give too much backstory. Yeah, I mean, again, this is a thing where like style and genre are going to really affect how much dialogue there is, right? Like certain types of movies, a romantic comedy in general is going to have a lot of dialogue. A thriller is going to have less. A horror movie could have very little. A action movie. It really depends on what you're doing. Dialogue is just a tool, right? You can think of it as a painting, and there's so many different ways to paint something, so many different styles of painting, and different colors and techniques that'll be used by that. And so dialogue is a tool. But yeah, it's obviously it is screenwriting is a visual medium. So there's I think it was David Mamet. There's a quote basically where he was writing that like if you picture writing whatever you're writing as like a silent movie, if there's no sound, will people still be able to tell the story and like you're strong? And like I love dialogue, don't get me wrong, but it is a visual medium, so visual storytelling is super important. Let's see. Anisi was saying I tend to use a combination of Save the Cat, Dan Harmon's Story Circle, which is really cool, and Natural Flow of Circle, which is great. Great. And now I just want to do the sandwich of the week. So every week I show the sandwich of the week, which again is just like the best looking or tastiest. There's different criteria. Some weeks it's the best looking, some weeks it's the best tasting. But this sandwich is, before I put it up on the screen, I don't know how it's going to come across. I think it looks beautiful. But I'll have to say that this is the tastiest sandwich that I have made in recent memory. It was just fantastic. So here we go, the sandwich of the week. First off, we got the bread. This was just like a beautiful ciabatta, lightly toasted. That was so delicious. We've got greens, we've got cheddar cheese in there, we've got avocado, we got little sun-dried tomatoes, we got some mayo. There's pickle in there. But this one, which was like a big departure for me, was that actually I had salmon on this one. So we do air fried salmon for dinner. That's like one of our kind of things we go to here in my home. And I had some leftovers. And so and like air fryer salmon is delicious if you have like good salmon. And so I put salmon on this sandwich, which I don't know if I've ever put salmon on a sandwich before. And I just have to say, it was incredible. This just blew my mind. This is just such a good sandwich that like I can't even like I just kind of just like think about it. Like I think about that lunch, and I can't wait till next time we make salmon. Because I'm the kind of person like very American male in that like I finish my dinner no matter how much food you put on the plate in front of me. I'm going to eat it because that's what I'm supposed to do. But I feel like moving forward with salmon, I'm gonna like make sure I have leftovers so I can do like a good salmon sandwich the next day. So there you go. The bread alone is a masterpiece. I agree. This ciabatta was fantastic. Oh, I also put some olive oil on there, which is great. Looks Mediterranean and yummy a little bit. Rosie, not a fan of pickles. Yeah, I alternate between pickles and pickled onions kind of in mind. But for this one, I felt with the salmon that the pickle was going to do something special. That is good. I don't even have that be yummy. It's not quite as big as it looks in this photo, I have to say. Like it was a pretty big sandwich, but like it it looks massive in this one. Kelly's making salmon tonight. Maybe leftovers for this sandwich. I love it. I'm inspiring, not just writing. It does look fancy. And, we all deserve fancy things. And it's like great when you make it yourself, too. Michelle McAllister chiming in. I love it. Thank you. You're making me hungry now. That's why I leave it till close to the end so that it doesn't distract from too much writing here. I know it's on it. No, in LA, you'd pay more than $20 for this. Sadly, it'd be like $30 sandwich right there. I love it. All right. So here we go. That's the sandwich of the week, everybody. It's the Micah. I've named it. One of my dreams is to have like a sandwich named after me at a place. Like I would love that so much. Like that's just like, I mean, an Academy Award would be fantastic, but a sandwich, like that's something there. Yeah. Oh, Dystopia can't have bread right now. That's hard. Bread is one of those things where it's like, I know it's not good for me. I mean, I get like good bread, which is helpful. Like I used to just get like store-bought bread all the time, and I would just have that every day. And like now that's like one of my splurges. Like I feel like we when we're like coming up with our budgets, so much financial talk on this episode today. We like figure out what are the things that like you're gonna splurge a little bit on, maybe like less on this, more on that. And for me, it's like good bread is one of the things that I like. That's worth it for me. Like I'll do other things less if it means that like I can have the good bread. All right, everyone, enough sandwich talk. We're going to go now to the final write sprint, which we'll do a 20-minute write sprint. We're a little behind, but we're not like too behind. So I'm going to put 20 minutes on the clock and hold on a second, I'm like adjusting this timer here. 20 minutes on the clock. And yeah, we'll just try to give this time to our writing. Might be tired a little bit from the writing so far, maybe in the groove. But first off, thanks everyone for coming. And if you have to leave during the sprint, that's cool. Say farewell. Let me know how the writing went today. I'd love to hear it. Hope to see you next week. And if you stick around to the end, we can say our final farewells after we're done here. With 20 minutes on the clock. If you can, let's just try to get this one our focus. I feel like I've been a little all over the place today, a little distracted. So I'm gonna try to like really lock in for this last writing sprint. Yeah, because it's special what we can give our time, to our writing. So let's try to do that. And like, I am fancy bread guy. Like I will wear that. Like I'll wear a shirt that says fancy bread guy. I might do that, or a hat. Anyways, all right. I'm gonna put 20 minutes on the clock, play some more music, and if you can stick around the whole time, I'll say farewell to you on the other side. Let's do it, everybody. Let's write. Sorry, guys, I'm up in writing land. That's the end of the sprint. We're done. We're done. All right, that was our third sprint. That's it for Let's Write Scripts for Wednesday, March 12th. Hope you had a good time. Maybe learned some things about screenwriting, or at least about your own script, made some progress with your characters, with your story, with your pages, maybe with your outline. Thanks so much for showing up, everybody. This is great. One of my favorite times of the week is to hang out with y'all, talk about screenwriting, and get some writing done. I hope to see you next week, either at Let's Write Books on Monday, if you're writing a novel. Mondays at 1 p.m. There's a link to that, 1 p.m. Pacific. Mondays at 10 a.m. Pacific. There's a link to that in the description if you want to check it out, to RSVP. Or next Wednesday at 1 p.m. for another Let's Write Scripts. Until then, please be kind to yourselves, and happy writing. And thanks for showing up, everybody. This is great. All right. Have a great week, everybody. I'll see you later.